finished up practice 11 today. We wanted to get in the stadium on Monday, but the weather was such that we had lightning in the area, so we wanted to stay closer to Loftus in case we had to go inside. So today was our first day in the stadium. Got a lot of work done. 11 days into it, you're really working on the guys, picking up some of the nuances in the offense. You're trying to look at, variables such as, different pressures, situations, really trying to, really each practice now takes on, different parts of the game now that you've installed your offense, defense, and things of that nature. You're working on tough territory coming out from your 3-yard line. You're working on, some blitz pickups. You're working some specifics within your offense and defense, and we did a bit of that today. But typical camp stuff, right? We got guys in the lineup, out of the lineup, and nothing to report that would cause anybody to miss any time other than Torrey Hunter, who, we don't know what his status is going to be. He's in. He'll have his second PRP on Thursday. He'll have his third the following Thursday, and then, obviously, we think he's, probably doubtful for Rice. But other than that, nothing that, from an injury standpoint, that would have anybody miss any time against Rice. But guys in and out of the lineup for certain, ailments, whatever they are, from day-to-day camp stuff. But pleased, again, with the work ethic, pleased with the learning on defense. We're obviously, getting a lot of young guys work. There's going to be a lot of freshmen playing on defense and offensively. Trying to gain some continuity on the offensive side of the ball with the offensive line. We got some battles at wide receiver, and then you guys know the situation. We got three very good running backs. So with that, I'll open up to any questions.
Brian, do you still have people moving up and down the depth chart, and when do you get to the point where you have to kind of narrow it down to the 1s and 2s and other people don't get the reps?
I would say probably through the weekend. We still, I think at the wide receiver position, you're probably still going to go with some 3s just to save the legs of your guys. I'm always cognizant of the fact that you peak your guys in about 16, 17 days. So even though they may not be getting game reps, Eric, you're still going to probably use them in the rotation to make sure that you're keeping your guys fresh. I'm not one for putting up depth charts. I've never put up a depth chart. I want to keep competition within the ranks, but I think it's pretty clear our guys will know what their rotation is here by the end of the weekend.
How did the offensive line come together? I know you said you wanted to kind of stabilize, who's playing where. Were you able to accomplish that this week?
I don't think fully, because we've had some guys in and out of the lineup at the offensive line. I think we're still kind of work in progress there. Ronnie was out for a day. Hegarty's out for the day. Hanratty was out for a day. We've had guys out for a day, so it's kind of messed up our continuity a little bit. We're settling into that group, but I don't think we're ready to announce the starting 5 there yet.
Has Hegarty been able to come back from the concussion and same
Yeah.
with Council?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, they're back in.
Brian, any closer to the quarterback race?
Yeah, I think I'm ready to make that decision. Everett Golson will be our starter against Rice. I don't think, generally when you look at, making that decision, I'm using from January through right now as the basis of that decision. So, winter workouts, how he handled himself with the team, our workouts, his, leadership in the spring, his spring practice, and then his leadership in the summer, and then camp here. I think he's put himself in a position to get that opportunity to be our starter against Rice. So Everett will be our starter.
Did you tell him that specifically? Was there any difference with him? I know, been under the assumption that was a competition with Zaire, but I mean, he handled it at least?
There was competition up until I made the decision, and there will continue to be competition. So, you know, Everett's the starter for Rice, and we hope he's the starter for the entire year. But we're just like, and I tell him, we're all in this in a merit-based kind of situation. You know, we got to win. You know, and Everett knows that, and I told Malik first and let him know what his situation was, and you know, I got the right answer from Malik. He wasn't happy. If he gave me a hug, I'd be very disappointed. So he went out, practiced well, and you know, he wants to be the starter here, and he's going to keep working to be the starter.
Coach, when did you decide? When did you let those guys know?
I let them know this morning, both of them. I made the decision last night. I told our staff last night.
Was there any one thing that Malik, so that Everett showed himself more that you liked, or that he's shown better than he was 2 years ago?
Yeah, overall understanding of the entire offense, the entirety, not singular plays, but the entire offense and how the offense operates. So I think it was more of the bigger picture, understanding the bigger picture, and his leadership, you know, his ability to lead, those two things.
Ryan, what do you want to see out of Malik other than a competitiveness? Do you want him to be a guy that can come in the middle of the game when Everett's not hurt and give you something different, or is he really, you know, truly a number two and there's not going to be a package for him?
No, there is no package. He can run our entire offense. That's the difference here. We're not in the Wildcat package. We're not in a separate package that we've had over the last 4 years, Eric. He's going to run our entire offense. There's not a play that he can't execute and run that Everett runs. So we won't have two call sheets. It'll be, here's what we're doing. We're running our offense. Everett would play unless he was injured and couldn't answer the bell. So we're not looking to play two quarterbacks. We've got one starter. But I think we all know we run a spread offense and we run the quarterback, and that puts the quarterback in a position of you know, he could get hit, and you better have a quarterback that can go in there. And I'm confident that, knock on wood, I hope it doesn't happen, but if Malik goes in there, he can run our offense, and we can win with Malik in running our offense.
How do you get Malik experience? Is it a matter of let's win big and then he gets in the game? Is that the best?
That'd be my ideal circumstance, right? Win big and get him in. You know, we think just by his experience and situationally against our defense is going to have to be enough. Spring ball, he's had 2 of them. We're going to hope that all of that, you know, the accumulation of that is going to do the trick for him. And then anytime that we can get him in the game, hopefully we'll get a couple of those opportunities, Angelo. But other than that, he's going to get his first true start, or his first true opportunity, if it does eventualize, will be, you know, under circumstances that I hope we want, and that is we're up big.
Coach, you said Malik was disappointed, but what was Everett's reaction like when he found out the news?
He didn't, I mean, just a matter of fact, okay, coach, you know, not much reaction from him, quite frankly. Just kind of was really more of a, I think, just an acceptance of, in his own mind, all right, let's go to work. Let's get out there and practice today.
Ryan, Tommy was known as a guy who knew the offense really well. How would you say Everett compares to Tommy in understanding what he needs to do out there?
Well, I think he's made up a lot of ground. There was a lot of ground to make up there. Tommy had a superior knowledge base, but now he's at a point where, you know, he is now in an area where he can run our offense and run it effectively. I don't know that, Tommy Reese has an incredible knack of understanding football from a different level. You don't need that to be a great quarterback. Everett possesses some of the other skill sets, but he has got a very good understanding of what we're doing offensively. He just needs to see more reps to get into that level. He's just got to continue to get more reps.
Would you say you are comfortable with him now to look over the field and check in and out of plays, or is that something that's still going to have to come?
Oh, no, we're very comfortable. Again, some of it will be controlled. We're just going to run the offense a little bit differently than we have in the past. Tommy needed to check a lot of plays. As I said before, we don't have to block that end for Everett every play. We had to for Tommy. He wasn't going to make the end miss. Everett doesn't have to check every play and every pressure, and so it's a little bit of a different offense with Everett back there.
Coach, you were kind of cautiously optimistic, I guess, in the spring about Ishaq Williams. How has he performed so far?
Solid. Yeah, he's been solid. Right now, he's our starting strong side end, and he's had a good camp, and he's earned a starting role right now.
I guess staying on that strong side, there's some people you moved around to kind of create competition and position. How is that strong side linebacker panning out?
Yeah, well, I think right now, James Onawalu is playing the Sam with Turner and Council. That's your 3-man grouping right there right now. Schmidt, Niles, Morgan, obviously the Mike linebacker, and somebody that's really emerged for us at the Will is Greer Martini. He's done a great job for us. So, he's in the 2 deep right now for us. Just really smart. He's a Joe Schmidt with really good size. Just a really smart football player, and has done a really nice job for us with him. Obviously, Jalen can't play the entire game. So, got some young guys in there.
What about Jared Grace at the mic? Do you have any idea about his availability for Rice?
He was running today, going through bags, and I'd say looking at him today, he's still a couple of weeks away. There's still a little bit of a limp there. You can see it, but he's making fast progress. But no, he'd be in obviously at the Mike position as well.
Brian, I think when we talked the first time, you said Bonner probably not going to be a linebacker for very long. We've seen him take reps in 3 technique.
He's playing 3 technique.
What kind of camp has he had?
Excellent. He's in our 2 deep. Yep.
What does he do as a freshman to be in the 2 deep at a position where it's hard for a freshman to make an impact?
Explosive. Explosive off the ball. He's got toughness. Plays physical. Plays like a big boy. Doesn't play like a freshman. It's got maturity. We'll see action for us there.
A couple of reserve safeties I don't think we've asked you about. Elijah Shoemate has always been a guy that picking up the defense. How is he there? And then Nicky Barati just sort of coming back from where he was in the spring.
Yeah, Nicky's solid. He's definitely going to be a 2D player for us, solid player for us. Shoemate is starting to feel a little bit more comfortable in some of the things that we're asking him to do. We're cautious with Elijah. We like him as more of a box safety where we can keep him closer to the ball. But he's doing some good things for us. We want to go slowly there, but he's doing some good things for us. We know his athleticism and what he can do. He's a good tackler. So we're making progress there. There's no question.
Brian, practicing in the stadium, do you plan on doing that a few more times, and why is it important to you that you do get in there?
Well, we're going to practice there. We hope 4 times, and then 1 time during game week. You got to get that surface knocked down a little bit. It's really a little soft right now because of the infill. Needs to kind of work itself in. Probably a bad analogy, but new carpeting. It's really fluffy. You just kind of got to work it in a little bit, and it's kind of your foot imprint is pretty noticeable. So we just need to get on there and work it in. But our kids love it. It's a good The track is outstanding, the field is outstanding, and we just, we want to get comfortable in that stadium too, and its surroundings. So we'll get in there I think we're trying to get in there about 4 times.
Brian, in the spring, you were not concerned about the pass rush. You seemed to feel like you were investing in the right places, and you'd see it in August. Are you seeing it? And if so, maybe who's impressed you in that area?
Well, we're not going to have one guy, as I said, that has 14 sacks. We're not going to have one singular player. But, we're going to have a number of different personnel groupings that are going to allow us to find pressures. Now, those pressures are not always going to come from the edge. We're going to be a big speed to power group. We don't have speed rush. We don't have Dwight Freeney coming off the edge. We don't have that speed edge guy, but we got some guys that can go speed to power and knock a tackle back, and then maybe get a looper coming inside to get a sack. So you're going to see them from a number of different players. It could be an inside player. It could be a safety, a linebacker. You'll see it from a lot of different players that will be able to get to the quarterback. But our third down packages now, you'll see from Johnny Williams to Anthony Rabasa to Trombetti. I mean, you'll see a lot of different guys that are going to be rushing the quarterback, and all of them have a skill set that Brian will utilize with Coach Elston to utilize their strengths to get to the quarterback.
Coach, you mentioned Andrew Trombetti. Can you talk a little bit about what you've seen from him and how much being here as an early enrollee in the spring has helped him?
It's really separated himself, and sometimes I don't talk about him enough because I sometimes forget that he's a freshman, because he's almost separated himself from this freshman class. I mean, he's a starter for us right now. He's the other starting defensive end for us, so he'll start as a true freshman for us, and he's just that kind of player. We think that he's got a huge upside for us in so many areas that sometimes, like I said, I don't talk about him enough. But a great motor, physical, smart, does all the things that we ask him to do. But again, you got to keep in mind, we're talking about first and second down players. We got third down players. We've got nickel players, dime players. 30 front players. It's going to drive you crazy. So to really peg them as starters or non-starters, you're going to play so many different groups of players defensively. You're going to need a scorecard.
Now, is that going to happen on the back end more? Is that going to be more of a front?
That's more of the front seven. Yeah, it's more of a front seven. Your back end, we're really working. Our two young corners had really two really good days in Cole and Butler. Cody Riggs is in our business program, our accelerated business program. So he had an exam the other day, and Cody right now is the starting corner along with Kavari. But with his absence, we were able to see a little bit more of Butler and Cole, and they did a terrific job. So we really feel like we're sitting in pretty good shape, and Josh Atkinson's had a really good camp as well. Nick Watkins has done well. We feel like there's some depth there, but those will be the two corners, and then we've got some pretty good depth, and then the safeties we talked about. Max Redfield has had a very good camp, and then Collinsworth is, Austin Collinsworth. He's steady. He's a great communicator back there, and those will be the fixtures.
Defensively, how close are you guys to having as much as you're going to go into the season installed? Not specifically for Rice, but just sort of the base package. How close are you guys to having everything in?
We're pretty close. We're pretty close. We got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff, but we're pretty close.
Was it sort of a throw everything at them early on and then just kind of keep?
No, we've been methodical in our preparation in terms of how we laid it in. We just have a lot of different packages, and we're trying to roll so many personnel in. So, we got a different look, every snap. We're in 3 down a lot now. We're seeing a lot of 3 down. We're early in camp, we saw a lot of 4 down. So it's a lot of work up front. You're changing your protections to fan from man. You're checking out of plays that you were running, and the kids were getting used to a certain kind of comfort level. Now we're in 3 down, So it was a lot of work. You know, we do a lot defensively.
Brian, have you gotten to the point now about halfway through where you're able to work on the return and coverage teams, or is that the focus?
We have done a lot of work on the breakdown and individual pieces of it. We have done less unit work than any time that I've been a head coach, and more specific work on the fundamentals and identifying those guys that we want on those teams through drill work, through competitive drill work. And so we're making really good progress in identifying those guys that we want on those teams. And then we'll do a little bit of a skeleton of that group. So the focus work has been for these first 2 weeks to really develop the technique of that group and then those players that we want, instead of just picking them out of a hat. But seeing real competition, drill work competition, and then identifying those guys through the competition and putting them on those teams. And then this next week will be a lot more of the unit work.
Bob Elliott once mentioned, I think it was last year, that when you guys get deeper at corner and safety in those positions, the special teams coverage and return will crystallize. Is that the key?
That's, you know, we think so. I mean, you know, now when you got guys like Cole Luke and Devin Butler, for example, that are really good corners that are not starting, and they can be your gunners, you're putting some really good football players on the field.
Do you recall in your career when you've had to rely on so many freshmen on a defensive front seven? Does that leave a sense of unease, or do you just see it as something where that's how the game has evolved and players maybe just be more advanced?
Yeah, I think in years past I probably would be, but then my eyes tell me something different when I watch them. They got an edge to them, you know, a Niles Morgan and a Jonathan Bonner and Johnny Williams, Trombetti, Colin Hill. I mean, I just watched these guys play. Isaac Rochelle is a beast. I mean, these guys are physical football players, and they've got an edge to them. Cage is a load. I mean, just all of these guys, I'm watching them every day. I'm going against them every day. And I'm like, you know, I know when you have holes. I've been around long enough. I know when you look at it and go, oof, that's not very good. Now, they're young. We may cut a gap loose. You know, we may be in the wrong gap, but it's not because we're not ripping, roaring up the field. It'll be fun, but they're gonna cause a few moments of Coach Van Gorder throwing his hat on the ground. I'm sure of that. But it's a physical. The thing is, it's a physical group. It's a physical group.
We have Colin Hill and also John Peck.
They're more third down pass rushers. Right? They're situational players. You know, a lot of these guys will be. We're not talking about guys that are going to be on the field for 70 plays. We're talking about 15 plays. You know, if they can give us 12 to 15 really good plays, fresh coming off the edge in third down situations, go get the quarterback kind of deal. These guys can do that.
Last year, you immediately had James on the line who pegged as a guy who can play all four special teams. Anyone in the freshman class this year?
Probably Tranquil would be the guy that I would pick right now.
Is he staying at safety?
Yeah, he's staying at safety. Yeah. I mean, he's more of a, you know, downhill guy. I mean, you know, but he's staying at safety right now. Yeah.
And what have you seen from Anual when he made the adjustment from receiver this spring that maybe is
Tough and smart. Tough first and smart. And he's a very, very, very good athlete. Now, I mean, if we're lining up against Stanford and, you know, you want to pound it and you've got 3 tackles on the field, then, you know, we're going to get bigger. You know, Ben Counsel's going to be on the field. I mean, we'll match personnel, but he's smart and he's tough.
How does having Golson plugged into the starting role change the way you can approach practice and reps and that type of thing at this point, or does it?
Doesn't change anything.
Brian, has Niles Morgan made some progress since we last talked? I mean, you were a little.
What did I say last time?
A little overwhelmed last time.
Oh, he's totally overwhelmed.
Okay.
Totally overwhelmed. But it doesn't matter because he runs all over the place. He runs and makes plays. But it's just, you know, he's an athletic kid, and you know, He gets in more scuffles than any player that I've coached in a long time. He's just a tough, hard-nosed kid, and he runs all over the place, and you know, he's just fun to watch. But no, does he know everything, the ins and outs of our defense? Absolutely not. He's trying, but he is way over his head. But he is so athletic and so instinctive that he runs sideline to sideline, and he makes plays.
And he can help you think, this year?
Oh, yeah, he's playing. Oh, yeah, he's playing.
Brian, sort of on the freshmen in general, is this defense easier for these young guys to grasp than what Bob was coaching last year?
You know, that's here's what they can go. You know, there's a lot more. You know, there's a lot more going on. There's a lot more pieces to this. But Brian lets them run and lets them go, and so that's why a lot of these young guys can just in the places that he's putting them, in the fronts that he's calling with Miles Morgan. He's not asking him to two-gap anybody. He's saying, listen, we're going to cover everybody. Just go run. Go make a play. And some of the freshmen are getting similar kind of front calls where they can just pin their ears back and go.
Anything else?
Good? All right, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.